Oh, come on, don't say that. It's not you, it's me. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that a new model has come along and stolen my heart. But alas, it's true. I am in love with the new Pocket 3. Hey, thanks for joining me. Appreciate taking the time to watch my video. So, as you can see by the thumbnail and my intro, I'm absolutely loving the new Pocket 3. I've had it for about 10 days now, maybe 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure. It was a little bit delayed on shipping, but it's here now, and I've absolutely fallen in love with it. I will say I have not had a chance to use it as much as I'd like because up here in Canada, it's been rainy and actually snowing now. It snowed today, but it's been pretty rainy. I really wish that this camera was released in early October or even late September, because up here in Canada, the leaves and just the landscape, the wilderness is just beautiful. It would work really, really well in situations like that with the bright colored leaves, going through the forest, the lakes, all that kind of stuff. We kind of missed the boat, and you know what? They always kind of release it in November. So I get it. This one was released in, I believe, late October. The last one, I can't even remember. But so far, so good. I've been able to use it in a couple different situations, and so far, it's been awesome. Now, there is something I don't like about it, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But for the most part, this thing has been great. I really wanted a new camera with a 1-inch sensor, and that's what they gave us. The flip screen itself, I'm actually really, really impressed by. I'm not 100% sure how durable it's going to be, but so far it's pretty good. And being able to change your settings, look at the screen, all that kind of stuff on a bigger flip screen like this, it's one of those things I didn't really think I needed because I didn't mind the other screen. I never used the phone or the app, just wasn't my thing. I like to have the camera just like this. But having the actual flip screen be bigger like this and being able to see everything, change your settings nice and easily, it's a big deal. And of course, the 1-inch sensor is the big selling feature for me. Absolutely love that, but I love that they put this screen on this new camera. So we all know that the specs are much improved in this camera, audio, all that stuff, video. You know, it's a much better camera than the previous version, which I really liked as well. But the new one, much better. But for me, it's the camera itself. It's the Pocket camera. Being able to use this tiny little camera like this to get some really good creative shots is incredible. I used this the other day on a shoot and people were asking me what it was. They didn't even know what the Pocket 1 or Pocket 2 was, so I showed them and they were really impressed because they had all their big gear, their big full frame cameras, their big tripods, all that stuff. Some of them even had full frame Ronin gimbals with their setups. Those are nice and everything, and I do have that. But to have a camera like this that's so easy to use, and also, let's face it, it's a lot of fun to use this camera. I don't think we should be embarrassed by saying how much we love this camera. I know a lot of people judge us users when we're using this camera sometimes because, you know, it's not as good as a full frame camera or even a mirrorless DSLR. We get that. But for me, it's so much more fun to use this camera and get creative shots with a tiny little gimbal that I don't care. I'll use those other cameras for other things, and that's fantastic. But I will always bring this camera with me. It goes in my backpack or my pocket. Get it? Pocket camera. And I take it everywhere. Sometimes I don't use it, but a lot of times I'll pull it out and get some shots. The quality now in this is really stepped up. And the fact that I'm not saying it's as good as a mirrorless or DSLR camera, but it's pretty close. It's getting there. And the fact you add in the gimbal, the small form factor, to me, the benefits of this outweigh anything. So I'm not ashamed to say that I actually love this camera and I use it all the time. Anybody asks me about it, they're always fascinated because it's so small. Sure, there are some real big snobs out there that think it's just a ridiculous camera. One of the things I find funny, and I mentioned in an early video, is that they send the new Pocket 3 out to all the big YouTubers, the big camera channels, and that's great. They do great videos, and I watch them, I love them. They got some great personalities. But let's be honest, we know most of them take this thing and don't use it afterwards. Give it away, put it in their bags. Maybe they'll use it every now and then, but most of them don't use it. But us diehard users, we're very excited about this. And I think it shows, and we shouldn't be embarrassed to say that we love using this camera because it's easily the most fun camera I have to use. With the Pocket 2, I made a bunch of videos on how to get the most out of this camera and what mistakes we make using this camera. And those videos were a lot of fun. I can't wait to do one with this camera. It has a couple different features that the Pocket 2 doesn't have, so it'll be fun to really get into it and make a video in detail about that. I just need chances to shoot. Like I said, the weather is horrible here, but with the snow, it'll be really nice. The Freewell filters are coming out soon. They should be coming to me soon, so I'm very excited to take a look at those and see how they work with this camera. To be honest, when I'm shooting outdoors, I always have some kind of ND filter on, so I can't wait to try those out and get some shots. Like I said, it's snowing today. I would like to go out and get that first snowfall. You still have some leaves. It's beautiful, but it's so bright. It's so hard to get the exact shot that you want without ND filters. So I'm really looking forward to having those ND filters out. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get great shots outdoors without the ND filters. A lot of people just don't use ND filters and they get good stuff. A lot of them go to auto settings, and you know what? Not everything's blown out. It looks good. Fantastic. For me, I really like that cinematic look. That's why I use the ND filters. But since I've been using this camera for 2 weeks now, the creativity is just sparked again. And just being able to use this little camera in different ways, getting different kinds of shots where you can't get another camera in, absolutely incredible. I'm really, really inspired by this camera now. I know that sounds weird and it sounds like I'm maybe a shill for the company, but they give me nothing. DJI gives me absolutely nothing. I'm just happy about this camera. Doesn't mean it's perfect. I mean, I didn't really like the price. I bought it. I bought the standard edition, not the creator combo, but I'm happy with it. And sure, I would have liked to pay a little less for it, but I understand. And that's probably going to turn off some people, which is really too bad. So for me, that's definitely a negative, that it's more expensive than we were hoping for or that we were expecting. But just like anything, it's up to you if you want to go purchase this. And if you can afford this and this is something that you want to give a try, great. If you got to save up the money for it, hey, that's part of life, right? So hopefully you're able to save the money up and then get this and give it a try, because I really think you're going to like it. I will say that it's not all unicorns and rainbows with this camera. Is that a thing? Is that the thing kids say? No? It's not fire? That's something. Anyways, a couple problems I've had so far with the app, connecting my phone and the camera and updating the firmware. I'm on a Pixel phone and one of the latest Pixel phones, and I just can't get the app to work properly. The app loads, I got it from the DJI source, all that kind of stuff, but it would keep disconnecting me. I'm not sure if it's a problem with my phone, problem with the camera, or just it's not one of the phones recommended at this point, so I just have to wait till they add that device to the list. Not a big deal. I was able to update the firmware with another phone and everything works fine. Everything's great. I did have some issues with the SD card, I believe. Even though I have very fast SD cards and they are the recommended ones for this camera, I have noticed a couple of issues. Slow write speeds. I'll get an error on here and saying that it's having trouble essentially writing to the disk, to the SD card, because it's just slow write speed. So that tells me that the card is not fast enough, which is kind of weird because I use this same card in some other cameras that require faster cards, faster speeds, and they work fine. I did everything you're supposed to do, format the card in the camera so that essentially you're starting fresh with the file systems and the folder systems, everything's in there, and that still caused the problem. One of the things that had me concerned is when you press record and it does show up that it's a problem with the SD card, you can't stop the recording because it's trying to write to the card. So essentially, you can't do anything with the camera. It's just in standby mode. You see that it's working, that there's a little dial mode and it's trying to write to the card, but nothing's happened. So you can't turn it off. Even if you flip the screen, it doesn't turn off because it has to finish the processing. I understand that, but that can be frustrating because there's times where I'm ready to shoot something, it's happening, and I can't shoot it because I'm waiting for the card to read or the speed up or just the camera to respond, and you can't. Now I'm gonna try another card. I've actually ordered a brand new card that I'm hoping it's going to work. I'm thinking maybe there is an issue with the card. These cards are a little bit older, within the past year probably. They should still work, but maybe there's something with the card. And then I'll have that one dedicated card that goes in the camera and it just lives there. I'll format it every now and then, so it formats the files for this camera specifically, and I'll just leave it. SD cards are coming down in price, which is great. And I know there are a lot of fakes out there. I don't believe the ones I bought were fake because they didn't come from Amazon. They came from a much a more reputable source. I mean, those can still be fake, I suppose. Stranger things have happened, but they've worked on my other cameras. So that's a bit of an issue, and it's something I'm going to keep my eye on. And it can be a big issue because I normally don't like to buy cameras right when they're released. I like to take my time, do some research. Maybe the second batch of cameras, they've gone in and they've tweaked them a little bit, because we do know sometimes, just like a car, you buy a car, the brand new model, brand new edition, updated edition, and sometimes there's issues and the manufacturer's got to fix them. So possibly that's it with this camera. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's something with the firmware, but I'll keep an eye on it and I'll let you know, because I think people like us that really love this camera, we want to know what's going to work with it and what's not going to work with it. And if we have problems, then we can talk to each other, communicate, comment on the videos, on forums, and get to the bottom of it to make sure that this camera works the way we want it to work. So thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I really do like this camera so far. Maybe that'll change if there's some issues with it, but so far so good. And like I said, we shouldn't be embarrassed to say how much we love this camera, because so far, using the Pocket camera, the Pocket 1, Pocket 2, it's been incredible. You can use it in so many different situations, and I think that's great. I'm not saying that it's the perfect camera, but you can use it in many different situations. And many people at different skill levels can use this camera. It's very user-friendly, but if you want to use it on the higher end to get some really interesting cinematic shots, you can do that as well. So I like that it's kind of open to everybody. And yeah, I'm very happy. So let me know in the comments if you're happy with this camera. I'm sure there's people that don't like this camera, that aren't happy with the newest edition, and that's fine, that's valid. Perhaps you really like the Pocket 2 and you were hoping for a little bit more of an upgrade. Hey, that makes perfect sense. I get it. For me, I'm happy with it. Be interested to see what they do in the Pocket 4. I'm sure people will be making videos about that sometime soon. Not me, but I'm very, very happy with this camera. And I've also been getting a lot of questions about why I bought the standard edition of this camera and not the Creator Combo. In a future video, I'm going to talk about that, because I think I have some reasons. Maybe some are valid, maybe some aren't valid, but I think it's interesting because a lot of people are trying to decide which camera to get, although most of them are sold out at this point, so you might not have a choice. So that's a future video. But anyways, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.